Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over the green on the charts, but we're actually going to do it in a little bit of a different way this time. As you guys know, I do run a Discord and a group where we can just talk about the different coins that we're in. Now, this has been going on for the entire bear market, and we have been supporting each other quite nicely. However, the participation rate has dropped off significantly because, of course, it's a bear market and people may be losing money as opposed to making money, right? Well, I haven't really been giving any calls in those groups, but today I'd like to go over the calls that I have been going over lately ever since I first suggested that Bitcoin may have bottomed out. And so I'll go over those one by one, and I just want to show you where I made the suggestions and what the current status is, just to do a little bit of truth in advertising, just to have a little bit of transparency. I'll also make sure to go over the ones that aren't performing well, because what we don't want to be is shady, right? Guys, I really do hope that you take the time to take a look for the link in the description of this video. Join the Discord. If you've been away for a while, come back and start to participate. People are starting to make money again, and this is when people will strike gold, right? It's in the middle of the bear market. It's at the end of the bear market. It's not going to be at the top of the market. You do not want to wait. So please come back to home if you've been missing in action. And it's time to start looking at the charts together, guys. First off, let's take a look at Bitcoin, because there was a key point when I did suggest that Bitcoin may have turned around, and it's pretty much right here around the end of the year, or just the first week of January, where I did suggest that Bitcoin would be breaking out of this kind of half-year-long downtrend. Yes, there was a deviation, but we were getting a nice bounce on this breakout, and that all of the indicators were suggesting to me that there could be a possible macro turnaround at this point. And what were the confluences that I was looking at primarily? Well, it was the 2-week and the weekly bullish divergences, where I did notice that we had bullish divergences all the way back from 2020, really hitting this low over here, and then we actually made a higher low off of this breakout, and it just suggested to me this could be a turning point, especially since we also had a multi-month bullish divergence right here corresponding to it. So we had two massive drives of bullish divergence, correlating with a higher low. And I had to tell the Alpha Fam, you know what? I could no longer be a bear, okay, which I had been ever since the top up here, when we had a very similarly structured bearish divergence at the top of the market. And then I said, I can't endorse any coins to get in. I'm not going to push people into any coins until I have a signal that this market may be turning around. I got that signal, 1, 2, 3, and then of course a couple others that are just part of my secret sauce, which isn't really the key point of this episode. And we entered at a last, basically consideration that could be the bottom around 16,500. Of course, I took some risk over here where those divergences first formed, when I did see an inverted head and shoulders, an inverted head and cup and handle, and I did take a little bit of a risk there. But this is where I said, aha, this looks almost confirmed to me as soon as we get a high, but this looks very solid, right? And so, guys, how have we been performing on Bitcoin? Well, the Alpha Fam is absolutely killing it. Based upon my call here, we have been just pumping up 77%. And this has been continuous, okay, guys? So there's no alternative number to present to you. We are still pumping on Bitcoin, and we are a solid 77% up. Now, guys, let's go to the latest one that I just called in the Discord, and to see where we're at here. Now, actually, for Alpha Commission, I did call this a little bit later than when I was talking with some friends in another group, just trying to really analyze this chart. One of my good friends, Crypto Retta, and I like discuss charts all the time, and we came to the conclusion that there's a high likelihood that ADA is turning around. And on that basis, I did do a deep dive. I put all of the evidence that I collected into the group, and I did suggest, this might be a good entry. Of course, it was actually at the bottom of this candle over here, but hey, this is just a slight difference and we're already 6% up. So that was just a day ago. And guys, I know that ADA is not the most sexy coin or anything, but there are a number of reasons why I think this may now be the time for ADA. And just the first of which is that it's now breaking out of its macro downtrend on the log scale. But I put about, 5 or 6, maybe even 10 reasons why ADA could be turning around right now in the group discussion in the alpha, trades section. And so please do check that out if you want some evidence of this. But for you ADA fans, you Cardano army guys, you may want to check out what I have to say about that. And this could be just the beginning for ADA. We'll find out, but considering how the call went with Bitcoin, you may want to pay attention. Let's move forward, okay, guys, because a couple months ago I was giving calls on other coins. Now, this was my test case for giving calls. I'm not really somebody who gives calls. I try to empower you with different levels on how to analyze what's going on. You can see, I don't remember when was the last time I did analysis. It must have been right over here on Algo. But you can see we held the daily volatility pivot here. We held the momentum levels, and look how algo just pumped, right? That's why I do all of this analysis every day. But just on a more simple basis, back here, I gave a call. I said, look, I think algo may be bottoming out. And look at this. We've only had higher lows ever since. I said, guys, I'm really considering, you should consider algo at this level, approximately 22 cents. And at the height of its pump, you would have made 43%. And in fact, had you just stayed in the trade, you'd still be up roughly 10 to 15%. Now, guys, you have to understand the charts go up and down. So if you don't take some profit at resistance, at these resistance levels here, that's kind of on you. You really have to decide how long you want to, swing your trade. And if you want to try to fight resistance, which I never recommend. You know the motto of this channel: always be selling, always be taking profit, put food on your table. Do not be loyal to these coins. These coins will not be loyal to you. Don't be a perma bull. Don't be a perma bear. Be a clever little alpha monkey. And guys, I think that the alpha fam is absolutely killing it. Had we met resistance here for a second time, I'm sure you guys would have taken profit. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm just practicing delivering calls, and that was worth a nice 40%, and you'd still be up because we have never gone back to the lows. And check it out. Actually, this secondary level that I gave here, and by the way, I just want to double check. Yeah, it was actually around 20 cents right here. And then the secondary level that I gave here was around 18 cents. And you can see we actually came back down and tagged 18 cents perfectly. And that was what I was suggesting could be the actual, the best low to get in. And so you could have actually come back to this. And I'm going to show how this ended up working out on many coins that we've been going over. And I am going to show you the losers as well. So just hang tight. But that's algo, guys. And I still have that conviction. Let's go to the next one. BitDAO, which is the Bybit token. And I want to show you, this is the same setup as a couple months ago when I gave this call and this consideration. And I said, look, guys, like these are the levels that we're going to look at. We're going to look for daily candle closes because there's so many wicks on this thing. And what we did is we ended up pushing off my levels. We never broke back into that zone. Look, even we came all the way back, threatened to break it. We never came back into that zone. I suggested to buy in here. That's actually in the Discord. People were asking, "Oh, I may have missed a Bitcoin. What can I get into?" And BitDAO was one that I suggested. I said it looked like it was making a macro change in the charts, and you would have been up a whopping 40% here, and you'd still be up a whopping 16%. Now, I know a lot of coins do much better than that, but for something where we're just buying in off of kind of a bottom structure, right? Off a bottom structure, that's very passive. It's something that you don't have to really worry about, and we're doing extremely well. Okay, again, guys, BitDAO, the Alpha Fam is absolutely killing it. We're not losing any money so far. We are making huge gains compared to any other method of investing in the markets. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one, Glimmer. Now, Glimmer, this one's a little bit more controversial. I told you I would show you the losses as well. We knew this chart was acting as a falling knife. And so this was one of the riskier plays, but no risk, no reward. So we have to mix some risky plays in with the conservative plays. It can't just be Bitcoin and ADA, right? You got to have something in there. And sure enough, we got a nice 50% play off of Glimmer when I was recommending to buy on this low. And I did suggest, guys, this is the same structure that I delivered 2 months ago to you. I did suggest that yes, guys, there is a possibility that it could come all the way back through this momentum pool, and that we could hit these levels over here, and that I would be confident as long as we held above 32 cents essentially. And look what happened months later, guys. Months later. Am I a fortune teller? No, I'm just reading the key levels on the charts. I understand how to read charts, okay? This may be a mystery to some people, but you can double check me on this. It's actually documented in the group, and it was delivered to other people who were witnesses. This is the momentum structure that I delivered on the macro, and I said, look, it could come all the way back to these levels, but I wouldn't be worried about it. And sure enough, yes, it did. And if you were kind of foolish enough not to take any profit at the top, then you would still be about break even. Okay, you'd be about break even right here. And I think if we flip this level, it's probably just going to continue to go. But of course, this is not really the narrative right now. These kind of, I believe this is a polka dot token. Polka dot's not really the narrative. Everything is Arbitrum and whatnot. So, this thing may still take a little bit of time, but I have to tell you guys, 50% on a non-narrative coin, that's absolutely killing it, okay? Let's move forward to the next one. We can see here, this is another coin that I learned about from my friend Retta, and that we had discussed together, and then I just made my own assessment on that. And basically, I had suggested that I believe it was 72 cents to get in, and because the volatility pivot was above it, I'm pretty sure I would have recommended to wait till 7.4 cents. And guys, how did GRT do? Well, it did a whopping 224%. Once we got in, it never stopped, okay? It never stopped. It tried to freak you out, but my momentum pool held. Of course, it can always come back to the momentum pool. That's why I established these key levels. And even if you didn't take profit at the top or that next high or even the next high, which I don't know why you guys don't take your profits, but even if you didn't take any profit, you'd still be 100% up. Guys, the Alpha Fam is absolutely killing it. Again, guys, let's jump to Illuvium. And Illuvium, another kind of controversial one, because pretty much, even though 20%, if you had been holding it since the call, is nothing to sneeze at, it has come significantly back. But I tell you guys, like all these charts always come back, okay? They always retest their lows. And so it's not surprising. That's why I create these pools. And if someday you see Illuvium come back to 41 or 38 even, don't be so surprised. But so far it's holding up pretty well, and it would show a lot of strength if it did turn around above $50. But guys, we did a whopping 114% off of Illuvium. Again, this is a call that I made independently in a list of calls 2 months ago. And then, of course, I set the momentum pool for where it could potentially come back to, which is why you guys got to take your profit. And of course, we're still up 20%. Moving forward, here's another one like a GRT that I had been talking with Retta, and I have to say this is actually my friend Retta's call properly. INJ is one of the coins that he follows really well, but I did make my own assessment of how to get in, when to get in, and then I used my own logic for deriving how this chart could potentially move. And I want to show you something that is kind of amazing, guys. Okay, because this architecture that I drew here with arrows, I drew that before the chart existed. Okay, before these candles existed, I drew it back here 2 months ago, and I suggested, guys, if we get in at the bottom of this potential right shoulder, which does have momentum support based upon alpha commission momentum strategies, right? My momentum pool strategy, then potentially this could be buying in at a macro low at around 149. And it could come back as low as 133, and then we would have to abandon ship after that. But that I do believe that it would hang out within this momentum pool at worst. Guys, it just took off. It skyrocketed. But more importantly, it followed these lines that I had laid out here. And even, look, I even predicted this type of a pullback. Yes, it was at a higher level that it had that pullback because this thing was just so bullish. But we got an astounding 240% off of that play. And guys, even if you held onto it and never took any profit, you'd still be up 200%. So again, the Alpha Fam is absolutely killing it. And I don't want to, underscore how important it is to talk with people and have relationships with people in the community about what are potentially good coins to enter, and to help make logic with each other. But again, like a Joe is one of those coins that I had been discussing a lot with my friend Retta. We just continuously bounce ideas off of each other, and it's a very good friendship for the crypto community, which is really toxic in a lot of ways, guys. The crypto community is very toxic. So again, please join the Discord. It's in the link in the description of the video below, and please start sharing some ideas that you may have or some setups that you may have found, and we can go over them together, and maybe you guys can start making some of these gains too, because while everyone was losing money, we made 190 percent off of Joe, okay, from my own assessment here. Now, I believe my friend got in a bit earlier than me because he had much higher conviction. This was a coin that I had to learn about, but in doing so, I created my own setup, my own logic, and I had the conviction to present it to Alpha Commission based upon my own analysis. And again, like once you decide to take a trade, that's your trade, guys. Okay, so it's up to you to have conviction in that. Please don't just follow gurus or influencers or YouTubes or Twitters just blindly. You have to understand what you're doing. That's your money, guys. And so once I took ownership of that, I decided yes, off of this higher low right here. We did come back. I actually ended up taking a pretty sizable amount of profit right here, guys. I know a lot of you hung onto your entire bag, and you're up 190%. Congratulations, Alpha Fam. You guys are just absolutely killing it. Let's move on to Kadena. Kadena is another controversial one. I did suggest that there could be this possible trend here that we might come back to, and I even suggested that I'm hoping someday that Kadena comes to 80 cents. That said, at this area over here, I suggested that there was a momentum pool being formed, which did suggest that we could have some nice play, and that yes, it's possible that we come back to the momentum pool, which we have essentially. And so we've basically circled back 100%. Literally, we're just at like 1% up off of our entry, but at the height, and had you taken, profit again at resistance, guys, you have to learn to take profit at resistance. You see all these wicks pointing down, you have to take profit at resistance because the rest of the market is going to do it, and that's why charts turn around. Guys, it's the most fun part of trading is taking your profit, and we made a nice 40%. Of course, if you bag held this thing all the way down, then you're only 1% up. But hey, guys, that's not too shabby considering, right, everything else and considering what you could have taken out of it. So you're not like underwater or drowning or anything. I think we're doing a good job here. And overall, if you were to assess my score, again, I'm putting all of the coins that I've called. I'm not leaving anything out. These are the ones that I considered to be calls or very call-like, such that people could have interpreted it as a call, and that's why I'm going over even these kind of weak performers, just to be very transparent with you guys. Let's go ahead and move to the next one. Labs. I did chart this one in, again, my own style. I did derive a method of trying to understand where we might be moving towards, and I did define an alpha momentum pool for it, which did suggest to me an entry at not 5. We did get in there, and then we could see a profit of 282%, assuming you didn't take any profit along the way. And if you were just to hold this coin, you'd still be up 120% off of the alpha call there. So congrats, Alpha Fam. You guys are doing amazing. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin could be one of the more controversial ones, only because it is a very awkward, uh, kind of movement that it's had. However, I did identify this a fractal on it very early on down here at 51 dollars was basically where I was suggesting to get in on, and I was saying it had some symmetries that I had identified with this area over here. And what happened is we ended up breaking out in very much the same way, and then I formally gave a call for it around $80 once we hit like this, the analogy of this area over here, and that put us up 32%. But if you had taken my speculation, then we would have been up about 100%, guys, okay? And anyway, even if you were just a bag holding this, you'd still be up 15%. So again, congrats, Alpha Fam. You guys are doing a great job. Let's go ahead and move to Credo. This is a bit of a controversial one, okay? Of course, Litecoin did extremely well, but this one just basically went all the way back to its lows. And by the way, I did warn people that this was likely to happen. This thing is just a falling knife. And that after the first pump, I did warn people this thing usually has a second pump that likes to dump. So be very, very cautious with this coin. And sure enough, some members of the group actually did take it at 10 cents. I started to make a kind of like last push call up here that I suggested, that there might be something to be able to get out of this around 16 cents. I was doing this because somebody was already in the coin. Okay, this wasn't really a call that I suggested to get in here, but I'm just including it because some people could have misinterpreted that. And we did get a nice 40% move out of that, wicked into resistance, and then came all the way down 45%. Now, why am I including this one? Just because it just reminds me that real money is involved, real people are involved, and things can go wrong. Okay, and even though I did define a lower level of where to expect this chart to potentially come back to, should it fail, look at my momentum pool that I had set up, and then look at the level that I had suggested as a bottom. 9 cents, and look at where we wicked to, 9.4 cents. Okay. Now we hadn't broken 10 cents since then. So again, am I a fortune teller? No, I'm just respecting the levels and the metrics that the charts are giving me. And that was why once we violated our entry, you should just get out. Okay, because guys, break even is not too bad. You can always re-enter if it shows some strength. But when these things turn around, they can turn around bad. And so again, it's just one of those didactic lessons. Maybe you should get out if you've broken down into the momentum pool. And yes, it can come down further than people expect. Okay, they might think this thing's going to pump to heaven or want it to pump to heaven, but nobody cares about your feelings. The charts do not care about your feelings. They will come down and they will explore their entire momentum pool if the market wills it. Sure enough, that's what happened almost to the dollar. So in some ways, this was accurate. In some ways, this was a fool's journey. I probably never should have really been giving any type of information up this high. And so I do accept that as potentially a mistake that could have hurt somebody. But that's why I don't give official calls yet, and I'm just practicing all of that. Let's move ahead to rows. And by the way, there are some guys who took that from 10 cents and they did incredibly well, but that has nothing to do with me. That's just the character of some of the people in Alpha Commission. So congrats to you guys. You guys are doing awesome. Guys, we did identify this inverted head and shoulders on rows and also the momentum pool that was supporting the right shoulder. You may notice that this is kind of a pattern that I end up using quite often when I do have support by a momentum pool underneath a higher low right shoulder. These tend to be actionable plays, okay? And we did get a nice 92% out of rows. And even if you just bag held and didn't take profit here or here, and again, I have no idea why you wouldn't do that once the chart turns around, but hey, that's up to you, because maybe we did catch a macro kind of low, right? Then, guys, basically you'd be up 30% still. So absolutely killing it. This is the track record of Alpha Commission. We are seeing just high double digits, almost triple digits very often, with a very, very few weak or underperformers. Guys, let's go ahead and go to Sol. This was a little bit of a controversial one in that I did call it here. However, in another group, I was talking on the live chats and I was calling it over here at around $14 when we did essentially take out this high. And I would like to mention that just on a personal level with some friends and just in the friendly chat in the discussion areas, this wasn't really a call, but I was suggesting that we did have a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders here, and that we were coming off of a potential just kind of janky cup and handle kind of structure, some type of a bullish structure up here that could potentially take us up. So in the $10 region, I was getting bullish about maybe $11, definitely, about Sol having a bounce back and reclaiming this drop candle. And I decided to make it official. Over here, you can see that price swam around in the momentum pool almost to the dollar, but this was the line that I did call it at, letting you know that this was the tolerance I was looking at. And sure enough, we skyrocketed 65% and would still be up 30% on Sol. Guys, this is a great performance here. So if you want to look at the kind of macro structure that I was looking at, again, I have an alternative way of charting compared to most people. You can see I also do horizontals on other charts, but in this case, I saw something very interesting happening with Sol, where we could catch some of these recovery candles to the upside. And sure enough, we did, along with my momentum pool strategy. We are just absolutely killing it. Guys, Voxels was actually a request by somebody in the group. I did suggest that if we were able to break above the neckline of this inverted head and shoulder here, again, we had a momentum pool here. This isn't fully charted out because this was just for one individual. And then I set a target of 34 cents where I would personally exit. And I also created a breakdown possibility should we lose the shoulder momentum. We actually held on to the shoulder momentum, and so that gave us the long signal, and then that gave us a 107% trade to the upside, at which point we would reach this resistance that I had charted out on diagonals, and sure enough, that's exactly where the chart turned around. And so again, AlphaFam just killing it over here. Guys, XLM was one of the more recent ones that I had put out there. I mentioned around 9 cents that we could not ignore XLM. Do not ignore XLM. You can check the post in the group suggesting, guys, don't ignore XLM. Sure enough, pop 17% up. Okay, almost the next day, right? So, guys, like, I'm not kidding around here, right? So, I did suggest that there's a potential path for XLM, and so we could see future gains that are quite significant here. And I'm not joking around about these coins like ADA, like XLM. They can suddenly do things that you might have not suspected that they would do because they've been dormant for such a long time, okay? But that's the nature of the calls that I'm giving over here at Alpha Commission. Again, all of this stuff is unleveraged. Could you imagine if you were leveraging that 5x or 20x, or if you were some type of weird degenerate doing 100x, right? Guys, you can lose all of your money doing leverage trading when you can simply use, EMAs. I can teach you how to do that. You can use EMAs and find simple crosses. You don't even have to use my momentum strategy. That's just something that I do extra. And we can find these plays that can potentially take us to huge gains of potentially 60, 70%, right? And get really great entries on them. But yeah, guys, so 20% for the Alpha Fam, not too shabby, right? Here's probably another controversial one. This was a failure, okay? This may be my only failure. Um, but yeah, I do have to acknowledge this one, right? So we did get an initial gain of 7%. We did end up breaking down from our entry. Once we lost any connection to that line, it should have been just a get the heck out signal. And any bounce we had underneath that was a lower high should, again, like if you're putting in lower highs, you should probably take your profit and get out. Okay. But if you didn't, and again, it's up to you, I did set a lower boundary here of where it could reasonably move around in. And in this case, persistence, XPRT, it was a high risk play because, again, no risk, no reward. We knew that this chart was a falling knife. That was very clear in advance, and that this was a high risk token. But it just ended up not working out. Okay, it's just not the right season for this one. And so it would be down 50%. But again, we should have cut our losses at our entry or at a lower high, and then definitely at the floor of the momentum pool, because that's when all volatility to the upside was lost. Okay, and then you just see that massive push. But so a reasonable loss would have been maybe 3%. Okay, let's just say that you screwed up. You could have panic sold on, maybe 15%. There's no way you'd lose 15%. At most 20%, right? Because then you're violating the pool here. But guys, I do have to acknowledge that one. Again, I want to be honest and transparent. I don't want to hide anything. This was not the best call. It was not the best coin to choose. But again, I'm not really a fundamental analysis guy. I'm more of a technical analysis guy. And so if a project isn't performing well because of its, its dev teams or whatever politics might be going on, or money, or it has some connection to FTX or something like that, I really can't go over all of that stuff for 3,000, 30,000 different coins. It's just impossible, okay? So you do have to make sure to have your stop losses and your risk management in place. And again, this is just another lesson, okay? Like some coins popped up and then they came all the way back down and were kind of weak. This one was a loss, okay, if you didn't get out. Let's see, XPR. Very similar to what we saw with XPRT, but there's a key difference here, okay? The key difference here is that you had multiple chances to take massive profits before this thing really broke its momentum pool, okay? So this thing, you could have been up 50%. If for some reason you just hung on to this thing when it ended up breaking down and you didn't take any profit at these resistance levels over here, again, you can see like a pretty heavy resistance here. You can see some pretty solid resistance here, right? And so if you didn't take your profit, in these areas, then I don't know what to tell you guys. You have to learn to love taking your profit. We did come all the way back down, bounced off the volatility pivot quite beautifully, had a second chance to get out, and that was a lower high that should have said get out. You should have been able to leave in profit even if you hung on to this thing. But had you not, well, it's still holding on to the bottom of the momentum pool, and this thing still could make a comeback. Not sure if it will, but this is one of those very high risk plays. They have a good army, but it is looking pretty thin on its behavior here. And it doesn't have a very good track record of its behavior either, so not one that I would recommend in this area. On the first bounce, yes, but on the later bounces after a pump, no. Just see what it does, okay? Let's go ahead and go to a better performing coin, in this case, Zilliqa. So Zilliqa, I did suggest to get in on the strength here. Again, we see kind of a some type of kind of janky, inverted head and shoulders type, price action going on here. We did have a nice momentum pool that I did identify underneath this right shoulder. If this is a left shoulder, you could just this little area could be a little considered kind of a little bit of a right shoulder. It doesn't really matter. We're really just looking at price action. We're not looking at patterns. And then I suggested, yeah, let's go for it at 23 cents. We got a nice a whopping 55% out of that. And even if you just had held on, it would be 20%. I did trade this coin multiple times over the last couple years, and it's been a strong performer. Still like this coin. It did hold on to the momentum pool quite nicely, and it is just trying to find its way back up. Now, in my style of trading, I do think that it could go to 3.5 cents, and then we're gonna have to see whether or not it can break out or whether it breaks down. I think it probably will have a breakout, but uh, things can happen. Anyway, I still like this coin, and if you're not in it, I wouldn't really enter here. You can see we're tapping a little bit of resistance. If we do get above it, like 29 2.9 cents, then that might be a good play. You can see we pop up quite a bit above that, but there is a chance to break down. So even more conservatively would be, 2.98. Okay, right? But I don't want to push something that's pumped too much already. It just I want to just show you just how we got these entries over here and how my momentum level was respected. Again, this is the level that I set 2 months ago, and it was respected almost to the penny. Okay, and yes, the market makers, they like to freak you out and come all the way back down, but look at this. Look at what I designed here based upon my momentum pool strategy. I mean, we got the launch and we also got the support. Just absolutely beautiful. And then in my alternative style of charting, we also nailed the bounce on this diagonal. Okay, you can see it's resistance here, kind of resistance here, support here, and then we got that secondary support off of this long distance diagonal that spreads over, maybe a couple years even. So this thing looks like it wants to push to the top of the channel in my mind. okay? And I think it's going to go for it, okay? If you can think on a diagonal basis with me, again, this may stretch some people's imaginations. They don't like trading in alternative ways, but you may be able to see a diagonal cup and handle that could potentially have a measured move to 3.5 cents, maybe even breakout, okay? And then where is the breakout where the magic really happens? It's going to be above this. Let's just be conservative here. Let's go for the midline. It's going to be above, 4 cents. Okay, solidly above 4 cents. Then the magic really happens on this chart. Okay, but look how early we got in. Just beautiful. So Alpha Fam, again, you're absolutely killing it. Let's see, ZRX, I didn't really know much about this one. I just saw an opportunity for a trade, and I did take a look at it. I think this was a request by somebody. Um, I did take a look at how this coin moves. I made kind of a suggestion of how it could move, and oddly, it very beautifully. And again, I posted this in the group, so there's proof that I made this. It's followed it very accurately, to be honest. I mean, we almost got this low perfectly right here. We got this pump nicely. We got this spike. It's a little lower than what I had thought might happen, but almost perfectly got it. And it did respect the momentum pool. We had a little bit of a deviation here, but the deviation wasn't malicious, okay? It was on this diagonal that I had already charted out. And so that's perfectly fine. A wick to a diagonal that's support, that doesn't scare me, okay? It's only if we close candles underneath it that I would have been scared. But look at this, almost to the dollar accuracy. Look at that, to the penny accuracy, okay? My diagonal held. So again, this is the type of trading that I do over at Alpha Commission, and you guys may think it's a little bit wild, it's a little bit weird, but I don't know, guys, it's working, okay? And again, if you had been in this coin, 0x, then you could have gotten away with 46, 50% profit. And even if you just held it, you'd still be up 8%. So yeah, there we go. There's your truth in advertising. There's your transparency, guys. How did we do? How did the Alpha Fam do? This is all the calls that I've made since I suggested that I might be open to start making calls, and since I've been practicing making calls. In the future, I will professionalize this, but for now, if you want to just benefit from some, free insights, you want to talk about coins together, you want to try to find these plays together, or you want me to analyze something, please join the group discussions, and please bring your charts. Do a snapshot of whatever you're looking at, and let's try to find these things together. It shouldn't be just a one voice talking and other people taking. Guys, we are making real money. Okay, if you don't think that 46, 100%, 300% is making real money, that is absolutely making real money. And this is the full list. Okay, I didn't leave anything out. I included the losers. Okay, and we are absolutely killing it, guys. Guys, that's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.